Yesterday, John Mbadi was in Parliament and he had been summoned by MPs. Wapi pesa yetu ya CDF? He was like, okay, wacha nikuje niwaambie hiyo pesa mahali iko. Sasa mnajua, by the way, hakuna pesa kwa hii country. By the way, tuko na madeni. By the way, ni kubaya. By the way, hata ile pesa tulikuwa nimekopa nani last week. Bado unajua bado tujamlipa by the way. By the way, unajua.
We should hear the bite, because when we were listening earlier, he said, I had 2032. I want to know what he meant by 2032 and 2048.
So he was talking about the state of our debt, right? And he says, yes, we are now at the point where we're just making a lot of payments. A lot of the money that we are collecting basically is just going into debt repayments, which are maturing. Between now and 2032, we've got debt just maturing. We took a new Eurobond. It's going to be maturing before 2032, and so on and so forth. So the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury was basically just saying, mambo ni tight when it comes to debt. And then he was also reacting to what a member of the National Assembly, the MP for Kiharu, Ndende Nyoro, who is a member of the Budget Committee and the immediate former chair of the Budget Committee, had said the day before yesterday at the launch of the IPF alternative budget, where he said, look, we have just been dangling here with our debt situation, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul and Moses to pay Jane.
And borrowing at higher interest than the loan you're going to pay with.
Yeah, the loan you're going to pay with. Listen to these two gentlemen.
Yeah.
Loans were taken at a particular point of time. Most of them are maturing between now and 2032. That is why we have the pressure. After 2032, you go and look at our books and they're public. From 2034 to 2048, we don't have any loan to pay.
You cannot go and take a loan from Shylock, you pay a bank, and then you go home, and people should celebrate you for taking a loan with an interest of 20% to pay the one you had that you are paying 12%.
There is no time we will default in our loan repayment. This country is strong economically. It is the strongest economy in the region. So let nobody scare people that Kenya is going to default.
So he's saying two things. He's saying that he's accepting that there is a lot of pressure. Pressure between now and 2032. The loans that we took, and I, as a former member of this National Assembly, approved in those loans to be taken, are now maturing, and there's a lot of pressure. The problem that, he said, the problem we have is a liquidity problem. And then on the other hand, he says, but we're not at any risk of defaulting.
Because you can't leave it at, we have a liquidity problem. That will send panic to the markets when you're the CS for Treasury saying something like that. You have to instill confidence and say that we're not in danger of defaulting. Two things. I wish he hadn't said that between 2032 and 2048, we don't have loans to pay, because I know how some people work.
By 2032, we'll be having a debt to pay in 2037.
Yes, that's exactly it. I know their gears are grinding. They'll see a space of, that's over 10 years, of 16 years actually, of freedom, quote unquote, from debt. They can't allow. That really worries me. Two, we've asked for a public, easy to access debt audit so many times. I would love to have the information that CS Mbadi has and see for myself that between 2032 and 2048, we're debt-free. Between 2025 and 2027, this is how much we have to pay. Between 2027 and how much have we borrowed? What has it been spent on? How has it been accounted for? When is it due? At what interest rates? From what organization? From what country? Where is it? Tumeuliza mara ngapi?
If you got it in front of you like this, Mariam, what would it do? It would give you clarity. Yes. But do you think if people had it, they would, what would it create in them? There's still no sense of comfort. There's clarity, maybe. You have a better understanding. Confidence, not really. But does it just give you a plan? Does it show you that this is why it's happening and this is the plan? Or what assurance do you think it would give?
It would let me know what is, first of all, it would be great for accountability, because then I can go back to every person who is in charge of, whether it's a finance ministry, whether it's the executive, whether it's anybody, all the borrowing that has happened, right? If you borrowed for Project X, where is Project X? If it was at this interest, why at this interest when so-and-so could have offered it better? If it was for this purpose, has it been achieved? We're paying it. When are we paying it? So that we can plan, not just as a country, but even as individuals. You saw what the panic around Eurobond did to our shilling. Partly, there was a lot of other things at play, but you saw what it did to our shilling. As people who invest, you'd also like to know. It's too many things, and just for the sake of accountability, how much have you borrowed? When did you borrow it? Why did you borrow it? At how much interest did you borrow it? What did you use it for? Has it gotten here? How much of it went to Swiss bank accounts? How much of it came to the consolidated fund? I just need answers.
We just need to know. We just want answers.
Oh yeah. Even for me, it's accountability. It's what Jimmy Wanjigi calls odious debt, right? If you went and borrowed money as the father or the mother in this household, hiyo pesa ukaenda nayo kujivinjari huko nje, and then you come and tell us ati tuuze shamba ndio tulipe hiyo deni. Absolutely no.
We'll hold you accountable for what.
Yes, wewe enda uzwe. But we cannot lose our land, our family home, to pay a debt where you went and borrowed money and you went alone to cooler that money. That's what our debt audit will show us is where did the money go? If we find that it went into somebody's pocket, it was misused, then those who misused the money, we hold them accountable for it. And if there was a game afoot all along in the process of even borrowing that money, wewe na ule mtu alikupesha hiyo pesa, kwa deni huko, tulete.
Probably why we would, maybe that needs to be the new push, and then hoping that by the time the pressure has mounted, it's not something doctored that makes it appear as though it's not as bad as it seems.
We make it a completely, very, very heavily independent audit. Right?
The fact that Eurobond, we still never got clear answers as to where Eurobond. Watch it. Let me. Hey, you can give yourself a frown line on your forehead just thinking about these things. It'll just be.
You have to balance between hope and rage.
Hope and rage. Okay. Currently at rage.
Rage level a bit high.
Let's see in 5 minutes.
Okay.